Hi guys, welcome to another Chess Pats UK video. This is going to be an analysis of the 6 games I played yesterday at the Golders Green Rapidplay. It's FIDE rated and it was the open section. Once again, I'm only at 1824 FIDE, but a 173 ECF, so I have to play in the open. I'll play in the open anyway because that's where all the fun games are. And really, if you're playing in the major and you're not, and you qualify for that major, I'm not saying if you're playing up into the major, then good for you. But if you're a major player, you should really be playing in the open because that's where the real games are. You know you can beat the players around you, so go for the big guys. That's why I do it. Give yourself a chance for glory. I'm not saying that you won't get battered. I definitely do, as a few of the games I'll be showing you happens. But also, even when you're getting battered, you need to it doesn't matter if your opponent's 198 or 100. They'll still make mistakes. So again, this is a video to highlight that point, if nothing else. Always just stay in the game. Even in a slow play game, it's a bit less likely your good player or your good opponent will mess up. But you will definitely get your chances in rapid play, so never give up. This is my first round game. I'm going to try and get through all 6. I'll go as fast as possible because I know that some of these drag. A couple of games are quite short, so it's not every game will be a lot to talk about. But the first round, I had a rematch against FIDE master John Richardson. He's 218 ECF and 2160 FIDE. But obviously he's been over 2300 in long place, otherwise he wouldn't be a FIDE master, so he's obviously very handy. And last time we played, we had a Caro-Kann. You can see E4 on the board because that was me messing about the PDNs. Since chess.com doesn't like me loading PDNs anymore, so we'll move over to Lichess. And yeah, so he played a Caro-Kann last time, and I got a +3 position and played all right, and then got it into a draw and then lost on time. So that was amazing. So I didn't want to repeat of that, but I don't mind repeating the opening because, as I say, I had a good position. So he obviously remembered the game. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was a couple of months ago, and I'll get into it. And so he played D5. Let's turn the computer off. I was going to get arrows everywhere. I'll let you know about the computer as we go along. Recently, yeah, I don't mind playing against Scandinavia. I keep saying negative things about it. But as white, and if you're playing a really tough player, like high rated, you shouldn't be too scared because the chances are you're just going to get either a very, very slight edge or equal position. But recently, I've been experimenting with this opening, which is knight c3. There's lots of choices here. You can just take the pawn, or you can push the pawn. Not too many other options, actually. Can you play knight f6? Probably you can play knight f6, but it's getting a bit tricky and not necessary. But the main move is d4, which my opponent played. You kick the knight back, so the knight moves, he maintains his centre, and the knight gets out of the way. Now the knight's doing a couple of jobs over here. This is why I like this particular variation. It's defending the pawn, which is like, bare minimum. But it's also quite a good attacking piece, depending on, what black's setup is. Your knight can actually get in quite quickly to these squares. You can play h4, people who like playing Harry attack. And it's just a different way to play against this centre counter. And this is the best line for black. So you'll see how it develops, how easy the plan is for white. I think it's similar to 2 knights tango for black. So if you want to look that up from the black side, I may well do because do struggle against d4, and I'll come to that in other games. So that's what that knight's up to. So g6 is a fair move. I've not seen it before. Makes sense though, as I remember what I just said about the 2 squares that my knight wants to get to. Well, it can't get there anymore. Obviously, bishop here. Strengthen the centre. He'll probably want to play f5 at some point, like a King's Indian, where he's actually got loads and loads of space. But you know what? White's got no problems either. My position's compact. We're going to pretend that this is overextended and try and undermine it when we can, and just see how the battle flows. So I'm just attacking the pawn. I'm going to talk through the basics. He's going to defend the pawn. Bishop out. This is why I particularly like this variation, is because there's nothing blocking this bishop now. Okay, so plus he's taking a lot of space, but the downside is his light squares are a lot weaker. So you never know. Could be a cheapo one here. The knight can eventually get here. I've only got to play my next natural move, and maybe he'll just drop a rook. That'd be great. Seems unlikely. FIDE master, can't really stress that enough. So yeah, good move. He's played that because I'll spit it out in a second, because you'll see why yourself in a second. But one, it does strengthen the centre even more. But he wants to bring his knight out to c6, and if he does, then the pawn will be stuck behind the knight. So the way to alleviate that, and maybe I can pin it then easily. Whereas if he's played c5, it's not so easy to pin because he can play the queen behind it, etc., etc. So c5's a natural move, as is castling. Yeah, he's just getting his knight out. He's not attacking his pawn. This pawn's never going to be in danger after d3. I mean, you've got to watch out. Straight away, your alert would be if he starts playing a6, because then, of course, he's going to be trying to crush your bishop. You know, if you played your pawn up, you might embarrass your bishop. So you've got to keep an eye on that for later, which will explain a move I play in a minute. So just d3. Just want to get my dark square bishop out. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet. So the knight comes out, as I've said. He also has potential of maybe annoying the bishop as well. So I took means to stop that. Now the bishop can drop back. There's no problem there. And it's a two-way plan. One is stopping the knight picking up the bishop, but more importantly, it's aiming against a potential plan of a6. So the idea is just prophylactic. I can't give him any more space. He's got so much, so I've got to retain some, yeah. So this bishop's an amazing piece, and I just want to keep it that way. You know, if he ever puts anything in front of it, we nab it straight away, and then he's potentially got a weakness on e6. Can't even draw arrows. Which is the idea there. Castles. Nothing wrong with castles. Bishop d2. Now, I didn't have many squares anyway. I could have put it up to g5, but I think he'd just play h6 straight away, and I'll just have to come back. And then he can play king h7, and there's probably no attack. On d2, it's sort of eyeing this square in case the knight wants to drop in, but there's nothing stopping my queen shuffling here and having the same battery against the black king, which is what white tends to play when people fianchetto their dark square bishop. Again, he's just getting his pieces out. No, I don't think there's any direct threats of that. He just wants to bring his rook potentially into the c file. Maybe just get his queen out of the way, bring his rook, either rooks to here, or here, you know. Just simple development from black. He's got space, so he can choose any setup he likes, really. Maybe that's another reason it's a good choice for white, because having not so many choices means there's not so many ways to go wrong. So as I say, I set up the bishop. The bishop wants to float in. The queen's also doing a handy job. It's actually defending c2. In case the bishop does leave, at least I've got c2 covered as well. So the first weird move is, I mean, it's a King's Indian move. He can't do it now, but he's basically getting his knight out of the way so he can do this. So his next move is probably going to be king out the way and then f5. So I've got to act quick here, and you don't play mechanically. Don't just got to set this battery up to get into h6. Doesn't mean you need to play it. But I do need to improve my position. And what he's done is now he's moved that knight, and there's no f6 because of the pin. The pin. I can move my bishop to an equally good square, and I'm actually, funny enough, looking at this. If there's any way I can trap this rook. That was what I was thinking when I played this move. So my bishop gets to a better square than d2. Gains time on the queen, so I've got like a free move here. Because there's no real good way to block it. You don't really want to block your knight, you know, you don't go backwards. No, it's pointless. You want to just get your queen out the way and then move your king and get on with it. The knight's fine here, you don't want to bring it back. Though it would actually help f5 at some point, but hey. Plus and minuses, you know, it's what your opponent has to make some choices sometimes. You don't have to make your choices for him. It just moves to queen, perfectly fine. As I say, I would love to just drop in and win the exchange. So I play a bit of a superficial move here. I mean, I can't say that my moves were fantastic, but even this doesn't particularly work. I mean, the idea is take, and if he takes with a queen, then of course I win his rook. But that's not going to happen. If I take, he's just going to take back the bishop, and the queen defends this way. Probably his bishop wants to be on c6 anyway. So a little bit superficial, but it's not a terrible move in itself because the knight's no longer attacking it. I don't know if he wants to waste time coming back. Perhaps we'll just get the same position and not worry so much. But his queen would be out the way. But anyway, that's by the by. I'll give you a quick eval on this because it's dead level, 0.1 to black, funny enough. But that makes sense because it's got a little bit more space. So, knight e6. d6, sorry. He's clearing his back rank. Oops. For 1. But, I don't know, it just feels... What is it doing? He's not going to be playing c4 anytime soon. Not yet. He's still not going to be playing f5. I guess it's that's what the aim is. He still wants to just get out of the way, play f5 and have a knight and a bishop, because that's one thing. The g3 knight is actually doing some sort of defense here, so that's why he's played that. That makes sense now. But I can go back to my original plan, because to be honest, he's losing pieces around his king. Look, they're all over here. And as a patzer, I've got to say, when you want to beat a good player, I am a bit route one. I mean, it doesn't always work out, but I'm always looking at stuff like this. Just this is how you scout them. It's like you go, okay, yeah, he's got a nice position in the centre, but now his king is a little bit nude. And it's funny, I mean, I don't do the best follow-up, but I'll show you some ideas I missed, just because it's useful. But the be-all and end-all is, all his pieces are away from his king. So when you see the next few variations, you'll understand. So again, knight's moved away. Okay, he's attacking one of my pieces, but what about this pawn? So like, I didn't think too long here, because to be fair, it's part of my plan anyway to take this bishop. And now I've got a choice, I've got a free pawn if I want. You know, it's not defended by anything, and you'd be crazy not to take it. So I went, yep, thank you very much, pawn up. He spent quite a long time thinking here, and there is a lot to think about, to be fair. I mean, he has to take the bishop, I think. Otherwise, what was the point of playing your knight there? And you probably want to get rid of it anyway, because, you know, f7's a little bit vulnerable at the moment. I don't think you really want to be messing about too much with like moves like f6. I'll just take the light square bishop first, and then maybe just drop the bishop back if he doesn't take it, and just have a good edge on the light squares. So he took the bishop, which makes perfect sense. And now I've got, and again, a chance. I could simplify here. I could take, he takes, I take. But then I just didn't like the fact that his queen was lined up with the pawn, so he'd easily get his pawn back. So I thought, no need to do that. Just take the knight first. He has to still work his way around. Here, right, again, he took some time, because I guess he's looking at moves like this and this, because the queen is attacking the knight. But I'm pretty sure I'm covered in all that. I'll give you another quick eval. I'm 1.2 up here, which makes sense, because it's the pawn, and I've got no weaknesses. So it's not just a pawn. Because sometimes you're just a pawn up, but the position's still quite level, and it'll give you +1 for that. I.e., yes, you're a pawn up, but, you know, get to the ending and then make it a queen if you can. So carry on. So he brings his rook over, attacking the knight. And here, actually, funny enough, I considered the best move. And I think I've said that in a lot of these videos. But the point is, if you're considering them, then you're actually getting somewhere in chess. Now, he's attacking the knight, as I say, and there's ways to defend the knight. I can play rook e1. And this is how you check your moves to find out what you're going to play. These are all the ways to defend the knight. So I had a look at all of these. Oh, I'm sorry, and obviously the last one where you just take the bishop, which is what I chose, and it wasn't bad. You know, I'm still a pawn up. Taking a bishop's not a bad thing, because you know, I don't have a light square bishop either, so it'd be nice to level up material again. And at the moment, he can't really do anything about this pawn. There's no way to pick it up easily. So as I say, you consider all those moves, and there's a bit of a killer here, and it'll look weird, but this move here is the best move. Now, initially I disregarded it, as I always do, and it wasn't because of this, because I saw this, obviously this is a little bit of a threat. But my calculations were completely off here. I saw this check, and then the king goes. I let the computer help me here a bit, because otherwise it's just bloody horrible. If the computer, if for instance he goes to this square, then it's just Kabui's time. And I was like, I didn't even see this. And this is the kind of thing, my pattern recognition isn't that great. I didn't see that I could just sneak in at its mate. Which is a beautiful way to destroy someone. And I don't know how tempted he would be to play f3 anyway. But f6. Had he gone to the right square, he's still well up. It's like +6. I mean, take check. I've got at least the exchange, so he takes and I take. And, you know, this is just a lovely position. So a really easy attack. He doesn't have to play f6. Maybe he would have seen all these tactics, but this is what I was saying about his pieces being offside, and that's why I wanted to mention. You know, if you want to beat someone, and obviously I don't know if I should tell you the result of this game yet. I went to the end, but these are my chances that I could have taken early doors. So the best defense is actually just moving the king. just getting out of everything. But it's still a nice position for me. Now you defend here, but you've got some sort of hit on f6, and he starts having to grovel around. Suddenly the knight's not defended, so you can take here, check, and pick up another pawn, so I'll be at least 2 pawns up. So yeah, miscalculation by me, to be honest. I thought it just, again, and this is part of my problem in chess in general, is I don't always calculate hard enough. Sometimes I do, and I don't know why, and other times I just switch off. The computer's even trying a funky move here. This looks interesting, but I guess it's the same sort of trick. You know, where you're going. I've always got this square. Oh, that's a nice little in-betweener. How are you going to deal with that? And then we just take the knight, yeah. You're doing that. So I love this. I love chess. I mean, how far does this go? So we take the knight back. Come on. Why can't he do rook takes? What's wrong with rook takes? Queen in. Threatening mate. Takes check. Oh, you pick up the bishop. Oh, computers are so good at chess. Anyway, sorry. I do digress, but it's just a really interesting tactical position that I didn't get. So instead of that, let's turn the computer off again. Cheers, comp. Let's go to what I actually played, which is simplifying. And then a nice move, because this basically holds the pawn. He can't take, because if he takes, I take with check, which is wonderful, because it means I pick this one up. And potentially iron this one. You know, I've got a lot of play. I mean, the file's now basically mine. I can bring the rooks over. It's just good for white. I think this is plus something. I'll have a quick look. +2. +2 for white. Which is funny, because the queen move is also +2. Hang on, I'm just going to check where the camera's gone, because I saw the board flicker. Yeah, I thought so. So let's adjust that. It makes a change for me to notice, so I don't have to go back all the way. A little bit more. A little bit more. Is that good? I think we're there. Yeah, cool. So that didn't happen, because obviously he's good enough to realise that Omson's no good. But what I've done is I've managed to give myself a protected passed pawn, which is definitely a winning opportunity later on, if I get there. And here, I guess this is and I'm only going to get over this stuff if I play enough of these games. And it's silly, because I do play a lot of chess, but I need to play way more. Because this move is just, it's offering a draw. I saw his face after he put the pawn down, and obviously that helped, actually, funny enough. Because initially I was just thinking, okay, fair enough, where can I go? I guess I've got time, I can bring my rook to e1, and then maybe the knight can come back and go up to f4, or something like this. Or even just knight into here at some point, you know, maybe that's the idea, maybe just rook here and then knight into e4, but then I was conscious that I'd be giving him a passed pawn after the trades. But then I realised that sometimes tactics are really easy, and I just took it and offered a draw. Because the thing is, if he doesn't take it, I'm going to be 2 pawns up. He doesn't have anything on the H file. This is just not going to happen. If anything, I'm going to get there first. So obviously the line is takes queen check, and then, you know, wherever he goes, it's just, he's trapped. He can't get out. There's no, it's a corridor of doom, shall we call it. So he took the draw, and that was good, because he's 218 and 21, whatever, 2160. I should really look it up. But that was a little bit of a coward's way out, and like I said, because the guy beat me from on time when I was +3 and in a drawn position, he won on time. I was a little bit, I want to get the game in the bag, result in the bag, I should say, because how many title players do I play and then mess it up? So this was like I knew this would be a draw, so I snapped it. But to be fair, I should have just played on. Yeah, just queen in straight away. This is it's +1, and I know he would play on, definitely, if he was a pawn up in this position. So I've got to work harder on my don't care if I lose so much, because it is just a rapid play game, and you know, a chance to beat a good player, I should really be playing these on, but I didn't, so I'm not going to cry about it too much. I took the draw, I was happy with that. It just could have been better. So let me go and grab game 2. It's a bit longer. Oh, we've got some sub variations here, so I'll have to cut those out when we get to them. I'm not sure how much Lee Chess is going to like those. because I thought I'd already edited this, but perhaps. So, how do we do new game? Can we do it this way? Well, let me do it straight away. There's an import button at the bottom. There is. Good stuff, Lee Chess. Okay, well, that's nearly the finished position. Computer off. Okay, so my second round opponent, on black as well, so I should probably flip the board, is a 2150. Not a title player, but obviously a very strong player. He's still a 198, I want to say. So first round opponent 218, second round opponent 198. It's pretty good, but again, you've just got to fight. You've got to fight, especially as black. I mean, it's a lot harder to get swindles, shall we call them, against good players when you're black. But you know, if you do it, then it's obviously more. I'd say swindle. You know, you can outplay them too. It does happen. So he played the English, and I played the Dutch against the English. But I don't even really. I used to play the Dutch properly against the English, but now I've sort of switched to the reverse Grand Prix attack, which is pretty okay. You know, it's not the best. It's not the worst. It's just a way to play a game of chess. If white's too casual, you get a really decent attack. But you know, these guys, they know what they're doing, and it's not the first time he's faced F5 and E5. And this is a good setup actually, because you don't have to prepare it. He's preparing D4. You can just play D4 straight away, and it's just a slight edge for white, and you just fight on. So I get my pieces out. This is taken's bad because you lose your central pawns and you release this bishop. So you don't take, you push, you keep the space. This move is annoyingly aimed at playing D5, because then my knight's got nowhere to go. That's his favourite square. Can't go there now because it's got a pawn there. So again, logically, we just take it. Okay, yes, we're helping him develop, but the downside for him is he does have a backward pawn for now. So while he works out how to push that one, we get to develop ourselves. D6 again is a necessary move. I know it's a bit weird, but say I do something casual like knight out, then he can start playing this move again, because once again I don't have this square. So that's why I play D6. He's just getting his pieces out the castle and to play E4, so that kind of happens. There we go. So he's ejecting his pawn. I don't hate my position. I don't love my position. It's just a position. It's definitely an advantage for white. He seems to have a lot more space than me. His pieces are all out. He's castled, but there's no checkmate, so I'm not scared yet. It's only when there starts getting checkmates on the board I start getting worried. And then castle. So here, as you can see, white's definitely got an edge. He's got dynamic pawns in the middle. He can push either of them. He's fully developed apart from this dark square bishop. Well, he's going to make a choice of where it's going to go at some point. I mean, he can even play this and bring the bishop back this way, but that's a bit slower, and that'd be nice to see because it'd give me time to move as well. The point is not to panic. As I said, there's no checkmate coming in. E6 is particularly weak in these sort of lines because the knight can come into G5 and eye it up. But for now, everything's okay, so no need to panic. And he finally gets D5 because there's no... And this is funny, so I'll set all this up so I could put my knight in there. And then I realised that if I do put my knight in there and he takes and I take, I actually have a really weak pawn, and he has a nice, easy 4 against 3 attack on the queen side. So that's why I decided not to put my knight there after all that. And it's okay here because it's gaining time on this bishop. If he tries to kick it, I'll just take that bishop, and if I get rid of that light square bishop, then I'm very unlikely to get checkmated. So he drops it back, which is fine again. It gives me a move. Maybe here, I don't know if I should, because I was getting a bit worried, but maybe here I could have played A5. And maybe I should have done because of what happened later. And what happens then is if he kicks me, whichever way he decides to do it, when the knight comes back, the knight may be able to get into C5. And part of the reason I didn't do it was because this knight was currently covering it, but I could just swap it off. So a potential bad decision by me. I swapped it off straight away and then didn't follow through with my plan. So the idea was I'm moving his bishop out a lot, and now I can contest that bishop. But the problem is he uses the tempi as well here. So bishop takes, rook takes, kicks the knight, and now I can play queen d3, which, you know, again, it's not happening yet, but it could happen. Knight coming in, you know. So gaining time on this as well, you know, when a knight moves. At the moment, it's all good because I can just take the rook with check, and that wouldn't be the end of the world. So he's trying to maneuver himself around so that he can really cause me some trouble. So I defend the rook. He gains some space. Like I say, this is no longer a slow plan. It's actually quite scary. But again, there's no checkmate, so there's no need to panic yet. My position's definitely worse. I'm not going to lie. But, you know, my rooks are now doubled up. It's not so straightforward. He really wants to play something like this. He really wants to get his knight into this square. So that's what I'm trying to stop by these moves. Because if he does, at least I can just swap up here. So the next move he plays, it's a little bit unusual because I was like, okay, why aren't you just developing your bishop and then bringing your rook over? But he's got an idea. He wants to also double up his rooks. Or, as I move my queen, pin the bishop, which is like, okay, fine. Because I was looking to triple up anyway. You know, if he plays anything casual now, he just loses. Knight in and then bang. Because the queen's no longer covering his square. So that would just be checkmate. Yep, so that happens. So, fair enough. He took over the E file. I've got the F file, he's got the E file. I am definitely slightly down, and the reason I'm slightly down is because this knight is poor. Otherwise, the pawns are symmetrical. He has a little bit more space, but I don't have too many pieces, so it doesn't feel like I'm cramped here. So it's definitely a slight edge. I had to move the bishop back because he'll just take it. He's got 2 pieces on it. But that's no problem because the knight's going to eventually get his way back into the game, wherever it decides to go. I don't know, there or there. F6 perhaps. But that's much later down the line. So he puts his rook in a good square. Initially I thought, oh, that's a bit weird because what's he trying to do? But he's basically one, because you want your knight there really, but the rook's vacating this diagonal, so now the queen's defending, so he's again trying to play this move at some point. So I brought the knight back in, and I'll give you a computer val here because the knight's on its starting square. He's +1, so you know, that's not too bad, considering I definitely didn't get the better of the opening. I didn't know what I was doing, to be fair. Had some vague ideas. I saw that he was going to be pushing me around, but I'm not lost. And I want to state that is what you've always got to think in these rapid play tournaments. Until you're lost, you're not lost. I know that's obvious, but you know what? You give up quite easily, and you shouldn't. Not unless it's mate. If it's mate, then of course. And if it's false mate, you can resign. That's okay. You can show that you can see it. But there's always that risk that it's not really mate, so maybe you should play it through. So he's +1, and he continues to play good moves. This knight moves handy. He can do that now, as I said, he's been trying to stop it. And then here the computer wants me to play here. But I just thought he'd just bring his bishop into the game. And then the rook has to move again, and then what's happening, you know. So I tried this instead, and I thought I calculated this well, but I didn't. And I actually offered a draw after this move. I offered a draw, which was, again, stupid. Why am I offering draws, you know? He's white. He gets to offer the draw, I think. I think that's polite. White's supposed to offer for 1. In one way, it's a little bit of a bluff. I was like, oh yeah, well, we both worked this line out. I knew this was coming. And I'd worked out to here. And he'd worked out to here. And that's the downside. Because then I realised I have to take that rook. Because if I don't take the rook and I move away, I don't even know where I can move to. But the problem is there's always this rook check picking up the bishop. And the problem is once I take his rook, because obviously the rook can't go up because it's not defended. Once I take his rook, which is forced, takes for the knight, and he actually picks his pawn up. So engage swindle mode. Because I'm definitely losing a pawn. There's no way around it, and maybe even 2 pawns. So the only thing you can do in these situations is to keep attacking other pawns. Now here's a good tip if you've made it this far into the video. You've got to remember that we both have 2 minor pieces, and okay, he's a pawn up. But at some point, I mean, there's two things here. Okay, a checkmate in a rapid game, when you've only got a 5-second increment, with a bishop and knight versus king, and no pawns, is really hard to do, unless you've like practiced loads. So maybe you should do that. Maybe you should go away and practice your knight and bishop checkmates. But even then, I only have to, hopefully, because I'm only a pawn down, I only have to give up 1 piece at the right time for that pawn, and then he's not going to checkmate you with 2 pieces against a bishop or a knight. That's just not going to happen. I say that, but I've actually seen that happen. But that's another story in a different tournament, and it wasn't to me, which was delightful. But well played to that guy who won with a knight and bishop versus a knight. It's a Hampstead tournament. Anyway, no, I'm not going to get sidetracked. But the point is that, so here I wasn't actually like, oh no, this is terrible, I've lost. Though to be fair, I don't play the best moves at all. But luckily, neither does my opponent, so it gives me some chances. So I'm attacking the c pawn. He's defending the c pawn. I'm attacking the knight and the pawn. So I'm thinking, yeah, I might be getting my pawn back, but no. The problem being, if I take the pawn, I think he just pushes. I'm pretty sure this is just death. After swapsies, one, I think he wins the a pawn too, and the other thing is it's going to be quite hard to stop the pawn getting to here because his knight's on the square. So this bishop doesn't actually defend. So I can't take that pawn, sadly. Also, I mean, that was a blunder. Also, I didn't think I could play here, though. Apparently, it's the best try because you've got check here and you pick up the pawn again. But it's the best try, apparently, by the computer. So I tried something else. I mean, if he plays the right move here, then I'm just toast. It's +6. And the right move is simply... I know this sounds really simple, but this is a rapid play. The game's gone fairly long here. We were both thinking about it. It was fairly... fairly complex early on. So 5 minutes each on the clock, maybe a little bit less. But he should be playing that move without thinking. There's no way to stop the pawn. I have to give up a piece and it's game over. But he didn't. He took. Result. I mean, he's still winning, but he's giving me chances now. That was the final blunder, really, because it gives me... I say final blunder. That's such a lie. But that was his blunder that makes his level. Believe it or not, even a pawn down, this position's level. And I even stumble across a couple of the right moves to start with. Still right moves. Still level. This check was rubbish. I shouldn't have done this check. Because the problem is, and I didn't know this at the time, I mean, all I'm trying to do is control this square, stop that coming in. If he does that, which he does, which is annoying, I thought, oh, he's pinned, maybe I'll walk into something. I'm trying tricks. If I can pick up a piece, I'm definitely going to win. Maybe the plan should have been to push these pawns, try and swap them off, a bit like what we were talking about earlier. But the funny thing is, because he seems to give me a lot of play, I forgot about my earlier plan, like trying to get rid of these two. Because the point being, where the bishop is, if I can ever march this one up to here, swap those off, then I've got the opportunity to maybe swap off one of these 2 pawns with a piece. So bit of a miss by me. I got carried away in the time trouble, shall we call it. So he self pins. I'm like, great, come on, let's get over there. Okay, now I realise I can't really move my king. Oh yes, I can. So I took that. I was like, yes, I'm getting somewhere. And then he didn't take the pawn. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I guess I can't defend it anyway. So I started bringing my knight back, trying to re-maneuver it. I'm hoping that he'll go somewhere silly. I don't know. I'm really praying that he'll do stupid things. Knights are tricky in endgames. You never know. But he wasn't having any of it. And to be fair, my king's now probably too far away. Now, look, I come back to my earlier plan. Too late. Yeah, this was just another bad move in a tough situation. And yeah, I mean, that's a piece gone. Well, it's not a piece because I can take the knight. And this happened. But then I lost another pawn and, I'm going to lose the other pawn too. It's just over. And I've got like... No, I lost on time. That was it. Yeah. In a position where I was lost anyway. So yeah, so there you go. So game 2. That was a bit of a battle, but unfortunately wasn't to be. Sometimes you just get outplayed all the way through the game, but you just got to wait for your chance. And I had my chance, but it wasn't until the ending. And, who would have thought that G3 would be a mistake? So we're going to game 3. Come on, speed up a bit because I suspect we've already spent far too long. And this game was actually quite scary. So I've been talking about ratings, etc. This guy's rating, he was only 1500. But I've played him before on my, if we want to call it, on the way up to the Open. And I grovelled a draw last time we played. It was actually a pawn up for the whole game. What annoys me is when I press this import, you're going to see the final position, which I don't like. I wish it would just go straight to... I don't think you caught that. I wish it'd go straight to the start. Oh, no, I've gone too far. I've gone too far! Let's go back. So, as I say, my opponents and I have history, and at 1500 when you're 1800 and he's only 120 ECF and I'm 170, you know, you do think, oh, I don't really want to lose this game. Why is he in the Open? Stop being in the Open. Go and play in your own section. But he's only following my advice, so it makes sense. Originally, when I saw 1500, because I didn't recognise his name, I thought, here comes a junior, here we go, trouble time. Well, he's not. He's a guy. He's older than me as well. And as I say, we played before. E4, C6. So he let me. I've started looking at this line, the two knights, and it's fun, and I think very good for rapid play because you keep your bishops basically. You get a bishop pair if they play the right line, which he does. This is not all false, but you know this is a line that a lot of people play, and it's been recommended somewhere because a lot of people are playing. This line, giving up the light square bishop and playing e6 with the argument that, you know, the light square bishop's not trapped behind the pawn chain. He's still got his good bishop because it's the dark square bishop hiding behind all these pawns. So I can understand why black thinks he's fine, but as I say, in a rapid game it's a bit tricky. And even better, he took, which is definitely the best move, and theory says you take with a queen and knight comes out and attacks your queen, and your queen just sits back on e3. And then I don't know the theory that well because I've just started looking at this, so I don't know. Not right there. You don't need to, you know, just get developed and get your pieces out, etc. But the point is, you got your bishop pair, but black's got no real weaknesses, and it's just a war of attrition. Or you can play the line I played, which, to be fair, I didn't know it was a line. I was going to take the pawn. But then I started looking at this. And of course, yeah, I dropped the pawn. But I don't think it's a real pawn. It's only a real pawn if you start messing about thinking you're Tau. And you start going here and just takes that pawn and you're embarrassed because now you're in... even if you play rook d1 here, you've lost a lot of pawns. I mean, initiative does work, but, you know, there's no checkmate here. So you know, it's quite a lot of work. Maybe just knight f6 or something. Just stop being greedy. If you keep being greedy and taking more pawns, then you're probably in trouble because you're just going to be developed massively. I mean, even here you might consider playing d7 and try and castle queenside. I don't know. But yeah, so the point is you don't even need to do that. You can just play the best move, which I found out after the game. You know, sometimes your judgment's just on. And yeah, just c6. Just stop all that. Where's your queen going to go? So it went all the way back. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll take your queen then. That's another piece out. So we got 3 pieces out already to none. He's got no pieces out. He swapped off 1 piece, but all the others are not developed. So this has got to be worth a pawn. Plays bishop e7, which is the right move. Let's just take your queen. But I can gain tempo on the queen again, so the queen's going to have to move. There's no blocking. And here I cash in. Not on getting the pawn back, but getting his king unsafe. So takes, and there's a nice big weakness on d6. So he moves his king. And I'm up. It's like, weirdly, I'm pawn down, but I'm +1 here. And better than that, it's +1 with initiative. And initiative in a rapid play game is worth a piece. It's ridiculous. You want to be the person who's pushing. So, bishop c4. I'm not actually threatening to take this pawn yet, unless I get another piece here. So obviously my plan will be to get another piece here, and maybe I can take. I just want a castle, bring my rook to e1. You know, straightforward stuff. Don't have to reinvent the wheel here. It's not so easy for him to move around. if he starts playing stuff like knight here, then I've got options of taking here. Again, this line does go on. You know, you can play rook e8, and then the knight's got to decide what. Well, I might actually be able to play bishop here, but it's a bit awkward. You know, I don't really want to walk into this stuff if I can help it. But then again, maybe I'm picking this pawn up. Actually, maybe I'll just take the c pawn. That'd probably be best. So just bad. So he can't be playing knight d7 just yet. So he plays the right knight, shall we say? I castle like advertised, and he plays okay. It's active, but obviously I'm not just going to take because pointless at the moment. The reason is he's done this so that now my rook is no longer defending the knight. So what do? I defend the knight. There's no point bringing that knight back. It's in a great square. I'm still, if he brings his knight into d7, just going to take this pawn because it's defended by the queen at the moment. It would be blocked. g6, he wants to get his king out. So I set up a cheapo. If the king comes out now, what happens? Yes, you win the game instantly because there's pins and checks and everything. So it's great. So g6 I can understand. Maybe he only saw the pin after I played this move. But I've been waiting for that. But I guess how else do you get this rook out? I mean, do you start chucking Harry down the board and try and get out here? Come out this way? Maybe. That could have been a plan. A bit slow, but... So the knight comes out and I can take the b pawn now. But there's a better pawn to take, which is this one, because we're utilising all the pins I've just talked about. I briefly wondered if you'd go for this. Sorry. But I think, even though he's got two rooks, I think it's probably a little bit suspicious. I don't know if I'm going to take this one or not, because I really want to make sure he's queen. Well, I've got to move the knight, it seems. Can't defend the knight any other way. Oh, he is defended. Can I get the queen anywhere useful here? Maybe go back and threaten mate again to start with, just to see what he does. Because I want him basically to trip and pick up a rook. But I think a queen again, a queen versus two rooks in a rapid play, you will probably want the queen every time. Oops, wow, went back a few moves. Let's get there. Oh, wow, too far. No, spoilers. Gosh, yes. So dush. So yeah, so he didn't. He played knight f6, so gaining time with my rook. So I move my rook back, which is fine. Brings his rook over. Not threatening to take the knight because it's defended by two pieces, but you know, maybe the knight's pinned, maybe there's some tricks. And you're thinking, oh, that's a bit of a weird move. Why are you doing that? Well, there's two reasons why I'm playing c4. One, I'd like to just anchor the knight. That's good. And also, I've actually given my queen another square to potentially, potentially nab in this way. There's a more direct way, of course, and that also looks after the knight. But it's just some options. So if I do play this, maybe I'll play my queen here. And it just gives him two things to think about. And it's how you win in chess, is when you've got multiple ideas and your opponent may miss one. So he attacks my queen. Okay, fine. I'll gain a tempi. I've got my queen there now for free, because you pretty much need to bring your knight back to f6. He didn't. He played it to g7. And I was like, yeah, this looks suspicious. Your king now doesn't have a lot of escape squares, which, you know, I'll give you 30 seconds, but I think that's how long it took me to find this move. It's pretty crushing. Bang. I know that wasn't 30 seconds, but I must move on. We're going to be here forever. With the false continuation, which he plays, of rook takes, bah, but he didn't take it with the queen. So if he took the queen, the idea was simply rook check, because where does the king go? He can only go here, or he can block with a knight. But if he blocks with a knight, and this was the idea, I could just take his queen, rook, and it's going to be mate. And if he moved his king, then I'll just take the rook and still attacking the knight. So this is obviously a very good position. There's no checkmates on the back rank, so nothing to worry about there, just bella for white. So none of that happens. He played f6. I'm like, okay, it's a try, but I get to hold on to the knight with check. He blocks, play a sneaky move. I just want to basically bring the rook in, trap his queen. If not the queen, then there's definitely knight coming into here. And it'd be curtains. So he swaps queens. I'm like, great, we'll just swap everything off. is such an easy pawn ending. I mean, even with optimum moves, which he doesn't play, this is just one. It's +3, and it's going to be plus mate. He finally chucked in the tower. He didn't actually chuck in the tower here. He made me queen a couple of pawns first, but that's okay. Don't mind that. Sometimes people win momentum, and the point is I won, so that's good. Yay! Back on the winning streak. So then, from playing this is the fun of opens. From playing a 1500, I got to play a. Was he a 200? I'm not sure if he is 200. He's definitely 200 slow play. I can't imagine his rapid being much less. I think he's also a 198 or something like that. And he's recently played really well. I've seen him in international tournaments. His name is Ashley Stewart. He's a very good player. And I've got to say, I was a bit nervous before the game, and I shouldn't have been, because I wasn't even slightly nervous when I played the FIDE Master. So I don't know why this guy intimidated me so much, but he did. Let's get out this. There we go. And I was black, so I'm going to flip the board once I work out where the board should be. And this is what I was saying right at the beginning of the video. Now this guy is close to 200. We'll call him 200 because, you know, what's the difference of a couple of points? I mean, for people who want to be 200, it's massive. But for someone who's like, you know, in this case a 170, okay, that's a good rating. But you know, I don't feel like a 170. I feel like I fluked it. I don't know how long I'm going to think that, because I think I maintained my rating in this tournament, just. But that's because the last round was a bit of a disaster for me, but we'll get to that. A little bit more, sorry, I'm just adjusting the board, because this is the advantage of chess.com, is it doesn't move around at all, so you know, you can keep everything quite steady. So yes, Ashley Stewart, so a good player. And black against him, and I'm like, okay, well, again, let's just see how it goes. And we, funny enough, got a very similar opening. So everybody obviously knows that I play this setup, and they reckon it's weak. No, I don't think people have researched me that much. And you don't know you're going to get me anyway. There was a lot of people in the open. It's really, really quite a strong open. Top end wasn't too heavy with title players, but through the middle it was all 2000s / 200 ECF. So there was some really, really tough guys. But this is my point, is there's no need to get disheartened. This game is going to go wrong, and I don't know if I didn't swindle last time, though I got close to swindling. But I want everybody to know that the only way you lose a game of chess 100% guaranteed is by giving up. So just don't do it. Just keep fighting. I'm whizzing through because I've talked about this position before, and I'm sure I'll talk about it again, but I want to speed up the video. Yeah, because he wants to play d4, which is what my opponent in the second round wanted to do too. So just trying to play against that. Here d4 is going to happen, so I've got one more chance to stop it, so I do. I like this push, right? But it is a good push because it's blunting this bishop as well. I'm after this square, potentially the knight's dropping in at some point after swapsies. You know, it's a good move. I'm definitely doing okay at the moment. I'll tell you when I do my stupid move, and I'll say why I did it too. So yes, he's joined up his knight. It's very pretty, but I'm also still looking at this square. I'm also looking at taking this pawn potentially. It's a bit risky at the moment, but the reason I can't take straight away, I think there's some really cheap tactic, like if I take knight takes, queen takes, and then simply queen c2, because he's attacking two pieces. Neither of them are defended. So I kicked the knight, and by kicking the knight with c6, quite like my position for here, because it meant that when he trades, which he's going to do, his knight then can't replace this knight. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing okay. And if Pew agrees, I'm doing all right here. It's got pluses and minuses for both. I want to, if I can, play g5 and start hacking him, because that's the way you beat good players. I can't stress that enough. I mean, I'll show you in the a later game where I tried to outplay a good player, and well, we'll see how that went. You just got to give yourself chances, and you only get chances by going for your opponent. So it forces me to take, because obviously he fought two pieces. And here I started making some bad judgments, which is a bit of a shame. Note that now the pawns are cleared off, g5 is no longer really a good threat, because I've just got nowhere to put my king. And I've got a problem bishop, which I don't solve quickly. And in fact, I think I should here, this is the moment, I should play d6 here. And, well, actually, no, because then I lose the bishop. That's why I saved the bishop. I saved the bishop first. And then he took. Here I played d6. This is it. I just completely missed this. I don't know. Sometimes your brain works well, sometimes it doesn't. This is just a normal move, right? That defends the pawn even more. I guess I was a bit worried about him building up on d6, but it's a long way away. So, again, nothing really to worry about. But I played a superficial move, really. Because I was just trying to stop him play bishop here or b3. But it's just not necessary. Just d6 makes sense. And my bishop can go there later if necessary. Otherwise, it just babysits d6 and maybe white can't break through. But I sort of made it easy for him. So here, this is just complete and utter lack of calculation. And I lost a few games like that. Just thinking, oh yeah, okay, well, I'll just push the pawn, he takes, and then I take. And that was the whole point of my bishop. I'm like, yeah, I'm alright here. It's okay. He's got weak pawns over here. Okay, I've got a little bit of a development issue. I thought he'd just play his, I don't know, something like bishop in, but I thought, oh, maybe I can sit on f7 and then bring the rook over. Blah blah blah. And I wasn't calculating, and I was just like, yeah. But of course, he doesn't have to do that. He can just take with the pawn. I'm like, whoops. And it's a big oops because I get no counterplay for this. It's just a clear pawn. And this is where you reset and go, okay, well, I'm definitely losing. Let's just play moves, keep in the game. Let's see what happens. Maybe I can throw some pieces around this king. Who knows? Who knows what miracles could happen? So he plays positionally to start with. C5 is just clamping down on d6. This is where we start seeing the 200 player. Our castle. Yeah, just keep taking the space. My bishop doesn't have a lot of squares. Back it comes. Really impossible for me to play d6. So I'll come up with some freeing moves if you like. That's another good move. Just get the bishop out. Defend the c pawn some more. I thought, well, I'm lost anyway, so I may as well try to break open the position. Because the point is, I am on this pawn. So after what happens, takes. I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to take this one, because rook takes and then I start feeling quite good again. Maybe I'll sack another pawn, though it's not even a sack in this position, and potentially the bishop comes out somewhere useful. But of course, yes, I know I'll be weakening c6, but I'm lost anyway, so it's quite easy to just say, well, whatever. And to be fair, he didn't take the pawn because he saw that it'd give me a tiny bit of counterplay. So just improve his position. As I say, I really wanted to play d6. There's no d6 after the catcher. And to be fair, the move I was more scared about was queen check, because then I think you pick this pawn up with the queen and then you just move the queen back. But I understand this move because it's also a good move. I mean, it's not only one move that wins this position, but that's why I moved my king out of the way, because I didn't want him to pick it up for nothing. Because now, again, if the bishop takes, I can take with the rook. I can take the f pawn. So yeah, another decent-ish move. You're thinking, what's it do? A3 just wants to move his rook. The rook is on an open file, so it was a potential of b taken in. I'm only a pawn down, remember, until he takes that b pawn. So I want to move my bishop at some point. The problem with moving my bishop, I've got so many issues, but sometimes when you've got a lot of issues, it's quite easy to find moves to try and find solutions. His rook's just threatening to take that if the bishop moves. So now the queen is defending. I'm also pinning the bishop, but I thought, to be fair, there's not a lot I can do about him just getting out of the way and putting his rook there. But, that's for him to play. Can't worry about him. I'm lost, so I'll just keep playing and hoping. He keeps playing good moves. You're like thinking, what's going on now? Well, he just wants to just get on with pushing, basically. If the queens come off, I'm dead lost. Simple. I have to keep the queens on. So here was an okay move. I'm basically trying to undermine this pawn. That was the idea. He just took. I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. So took back. There's a weak pawn. He can pick it up later. Doesn't have to do anything with it now. He can just carry on with his plan of kicking the queen. All right, well, where's the queen's going? Okay, well, I'll sort of want to maintain it around this pawn. You never know if I'm going to give this pawn. I don't know how I'm going to do it with these two coming at me, but maybe I've got bishop takes. And just stay optimistic. Who knows? And then, of course, he just pushes the pawn because the queen's defended. And I'm like, So the queen has to move again. I can't have the queens off, and he's also got a little bit of a pawn storm coming. So I'm just leaving the queen on light squares for a few reasons. One, I'm still after this pawn if possible. Two, I'm trying to keep my back rank some sort of defence. If these pawns start moving down the board. When then pawns start coming to get me. Here they come. So I take, okay. I got an open F-file. Yippee! I must be winning. No, I'm not. No, I'm still losing. Have to move the rook. It's got to stop this pawn. It's a menacing pawn. But now he had to defend that pawn. He doesn't. He just says, I don't need to. It's actually, apart from attacking the two rooks for the fork, he actually also, even when the bishop moves, he can still take this rook. And I think his position is going to be really good with the two rooks and the light square bishop versus the queen and light square bishop. Which could have happened from here. He could have taken this. And I was surprised he didn't. Because I think this is probably just good for him. I got a weak back rank. Okay, I get a few checks, but no checks at women material. Can I? I can't even nab this pawn yet. It's annoying. Although, can I get it with check? I do have some annoying checks actually. And I would have taken this because of chances. Remember what I said? I'd rather have a queen than rooks in a rapid play. I think that's right. And I've got to say my opponent is really short in time here. I guess that's what happens when you start trying to find the best wins. And then maybe I'm picking up this pawn or this pawn. At some point I'm going to have to... I don't even know which pawn to push, because the problem is if I start pushing this pawn, then we can still move. And it'll be tricky. There'll be lots of checks for him to watch out for, which is possibly why he didn't go for it. But he's probably still winning. I mean, he's still winning here. But now all those scary pawns have gone. And I'm only a pawn down somehow. I don't know how this has happened, but there's time pressure for you. So yeah, this is a good move. He's attacking the bishop, but I can attack your queen first. You're no longer going to take my rook. So he brings his queen back. I think he should have probably come back to here. Still swap queens, still pawn up. Should be not trivial, but it is a very good passed pawn. You know, this is going to be pretty hard for me to stop, especially with the bishop on g2. So I start manoeuvring around. I'm not looking to take this. I'm sort of stopping him playing queen c2 easily, and I'm now eyeing this one up, and I'm also defending this bishop, so the rooks can move potentially. So I quite like this move when he's in trouble, time trouble. So yeah, line up a rook. Why not? He's actually, funny enough, and I saw this as he was doing it. He's actually lining this up because why not? You know, make that rook attacking. And while I'm tied up, then you can just swap everything off and win down the queen side. So saw this one coming over the horizon, but I was like, meh, okay, fine. I can't really, like I say, I've been lost the whole game from stupid blunder. Does it matter? I'll attack your pawn. F2 is under attack. Defends it and brings his queen in. So, you know, another piece into the attack if you like. That rook's coming, etc. So I'm like, okay, let's get a bit desperate. But if I can get rid of that light square bishop, I might have a chance. I may have a chance because, you know, checks on light squares, there's heavy pieces flying around. I'm just as likely to get checkmated, but I will get checkmating chances. And he sort of, I've got to say, at this point, he had maybe 30 seconds, and I had like 6-7 minutes. And I felt really calm here, and I could see my opponent was upset. But I don't have to give up, especially now I'm only a pawn down, so he's probably a bit miffed that it's not quite as straightforward as you like. So I take the bishop, and here I'm like, okay, I've set a trap. I've set a trap to someone who's only got like 15 seconds to find the right move, and he plays a sensible move because he's got to keep that f pawn defended while he's attacking everything else. And so I unleash my trap, which is this. Check. And you do this to your opponent if you can, if you're lucky enough, when they've got no time, because it's actually a really hard move to meet. And he played the obvious move, because it is obvious. He blocked it, but unfortunately, and I did have a little bit of a crowd around me, that rook is pinned. And that's game over. GG. Thank you very much. Free rook. He can't move his king to F1 because there's a check here and it's just game over. because he can block the rook, but then rook takes checkmate. So he played his king back. He actually played on here, which was a bit weird, but anyway, I hoovered up all his pawns and swapped queens, and it was a rook and 2 pawns versus a king. So he resigned and told me I was lucky, and he's right, I was lucky, but at the same time didn't give up, kept fighting. You got to keep fighting. And that was game 4. Game 4 done. Only 2 to go, and they're shorter, as you can possibly see. I don't know if you can see these when I'm doing the copy and pasting, but they do get shorter. And this game is against another FIDE master, the slightly higher rated one. Funny enough, not it matters. You know, if you're FIDE master, you're pretty good at chess. I don't forget your rating after that or before that really matters. And I was white. Wait. Flip board. Can I guess without looking? Did I get it right? Bit lower, a little bit lower. Yeah, I do. So yeah, go for him. E4, let's go. Oh, Sicilian, great. Open Sicilian, even better. Right? You know, if you want to scalp someone, you want them to give you some tactical chances. So like, yes, what we're gonna have? Dragon, Nadorf. Classical Sicilian. And to be fair, I don't know anything about the classical Sicilian. So I'm sure that's everyone looking up the classical Sicilian next time they play me. But I don't know. I really don't. I know. Okay, I don't know. But I know this is a move. Reuter. I can't even pronounce it. But I don't know it. I have no idea. And you know, if you're going to play against a title player, you got to know at least something. So I played what I recommend everyone does in these situations. Don't just throw your pieces out. You may just drop a piece without knowing about a check on a5 when your bishop's on pre or something. You know, you may not know. But that doesn't mean that you can't play chess. You just play normal moves, and I play normal moves, and I keep a slight edge. Because you're supposed to, because you're white. So bishop e2. Quiet. We'll just see what he does. If he plays a6 and we transpose into some sort of almost Nadorf, though the knight wouldn't be right here, I'd probably just take the knight. You would just react to what he does and be like, okay, well, you know, as long as I don't do anything too crazy, I should be all right. Like, don't fear that he's a FIDE master. I'm just fearing that I walk into some easy prep for him and he just picks a piece up for nothing. So this is easy enough. Castle, king side. Okay. Not really hassling his development. And I still want to play the classic plan against any fianchetto position, is just to, at some point, play bishop h6, swap off the dark square bishop. And he's not so scary in these lines because my king's not sitting over here. My king's here. So, develop. This is so I can play queen d2. Nothing more or less than that. It's absolutely fine. Still slight edge for white, which is weird because it's such a quiet position. And I've got my setup, so I know I'm not lost here, and I know I've got a vague idea what I want to do. But taking and then playing bishop c6, this is like an idea in a hyper accelerated dragon. In those lines, I generally have a pawn already on c4, so I'm not really 100% sure. I mean, the computer move here, and you know, the one that keeps the edge, is quite a natural move actually, and one I considered really quickly and disregarded, and I've got to stop doing that. And it was just over a little bit of a fear about c4 not being defended. But you know what? You've got to take everything into account, and there's no knight getting in there very quickly. Usually there is. Usually there's a knight on c6 that will come in via a5 and then c4, or the other side, e4 and then into c4, and then it's a real big pain because your pawn's attacked, potentially your queen's going to be attacked, and there's a bishop coming in as well, you know, and it is scary, and you shouldn't walk into stuff like that. So I unfortunately was disregarded bishop f3, which is a really natural move. You're just defending the pawn. He's attacking the pawn twice with the bishop and the knight, because I just didn't want to give up the c4 square, which he can't get to. So it's really, really silly. But this isn't a mistake while I play. This is absolutely fine. I mean, I'm gaining tempi while I move my queen. I'm trying to take this pawn. Not something you usually get in a Sicilian, because these pawns aren't usually on these two squares. Has slight downsides too, because after his next move, he's actually threatening to win the bishop. Because I've got no squares. Simple. He's defending the pawn. So in this case, I'm like, well, okay, well, I'll play it first. Again, I haven't done anything wrong. Haven't not developed. I haven't made too many pawn moves. Everything's okay. Swapping queens, I still think it's alright. I don't think this was bad. This is what I was trying to say earlier about trying to outplay a good player in a quiet position. It's quite dangerous, really. Sometimes you do want to know the bit of theory that lets you unleash a f3, g4, h4 and attack. But I didn't have it. So he kept continuing swapping off pieces. I'm like, okay, well, this can't be too bad. I'll even continue. I mean, his bishop doesn't have any other squares, so you know, you think at some point it's going to be a take, and then that's even less pieces for me to worry about. My rooks are fairly mobile, so any attacks from pawns I can look after. Plays an active move though. I don't really want to take. If I take, then he takes the rook, and then potentially the other rook's coming in. And they put lots of pressure on the c4. If the knight can't move, then you do have to start worrying about b5, b4, and you know, pressure. But I wasn't interested. Didn't need to do that. Just defend the pawn in advance. He took, I took. Attack the knight. Can't take this pawn, unfortunately. If I take the pawn, then he's just simply got rook over. Again, I'm under a lot of pressure. In fact, it loses the knight. But apart from that, he would just hoover up all these pawns. So I didn't do that. Brought the knight back to a central square. Wasn't too fussed about this move. What was I going to play here? Well, I had two choices. I didn't really like the first choice, which was just drop back because it gains time on the knight, on the rook, sorry, and then play c3, and then maybe bring the knight back round. I got time, I think, but then I was thinking, yeah, but now he may be starting chucking his pawns down the board. I want to move my pawns, not. That's the reason I haven't put the knight back on c6. I want to start moving these 3 pawns. Because my counterplay. But he played this move, and I was like, okay, alright, fair enough. What are you doing? What are you up to, mister? And he's basically up to trying to get his knight into here or into here, because the idea being, if I ever push this pawn, he might be able to sit a rook in here and keep this weak for a long time, because the knight can't stay where it is, sadly, because I've always got this annoying e5 coming. So I attack that pawn. But he's a good player, he ignores it, he attacks my knight. And yeah, well, it's been a long day, shall we say. And the first move I considered is the right move, which is just c3. It's like, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You've got to defend your e-pawn now. And I started getting worried about e5. Like, oh no, oh yeah, I'm going backwards. So what? You know, I haven't got a weakness on c2 anymore. Just move your knight. I mean, anywhere really. Just back here makes sense. Just stops rook coming in. Don't want the rook coming in. And okay, yes, he starts. Well, he can't, and he can't start his counterplay too soon because I can just take the pawn. And we go on, which is why it'd be a level position. Probably a slight edge for black, because as you can see, he can start moving his pawns a bit easier than I can start moving mine. c3 is not the greatest start, but computer gives his level, but I think slightly easier still for play for black. And I wasn't going to offer a draw anyway, because I'm trying really hard not to offer draws. I'm trying. I know I fouled in the very first game, but that reminded me that I must stop trying to take draws. And I just blundered horribly instead, which is stupid, because I actually thought I saw a trick in the position, and it kind of is. You know, if this is the move I played, and it loses. Just saying. And I'm like, okay, so I don't know what I was expecting here, but say anything. Say, I don't know why I'd ever play this move, but then I have this check, and I win a piece because obviously he takes, and I'll take the rook, and I'll be like, ha ha ha. I don't expect him to fall for that. I just thought, oh well, maybe I'd do a weakening move instead, and then I'll just at some point. Now I've got a threat. I've got that threat and this threat. Maybe I'm getting somewhere. But he just played the easiest move, and he must have seen it straight away. And he sat there for a little while before he played it. And after he played it, I sat there for a good 6-7 minutes trying to work out some sort of way. But there's just no saving the rook or the knight, sorry. So I can't play pawn up because e5, and that's the end. And I started thinking, oh no, it's not over yet, because you go into your little spasm of, oh, it might be okay. I'm thinking, I can just play my rook here, and then it's like, okay, so he can't play this one because I've got this check, and it gets all a bit tricky, and maybe I'm getting out of it. Doesn't have to play f5. Doesn't have to play f5 at all. What was I thinking here? Oh, he just plays the pawn down anyway. It's still the same thing. Literally the same thing. Because the knight can't move because the rook's going to go with check. Even if I go check, it doesn't make any difference because he just takes just a piece up. That doesn't work. Did I think of anything else? Did I try to think of anything else? No, I think that's. Oh yeah, and then I because I'm losing the piece, I thought, oh maybe swapsies. And after I take this pawn, I realised that I still had nothing. I mean, he can defend that pawn if he really wants to, but he'd probably just go after all these ones down here, check and then rook back and just start hoovering everything up. It's just lost, big time loss. So that was a bit of a shame because I actually felt quite good going through that opening that I didn't have a clue about. But you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out for you, and it didn't. So next time I play him, hopefully I'll know a little bit more about the classical Sicilian, or I'll be black, and then we won't worry about it so much. Right, so into the last game. This one I whizzed through. I've got to say, this sort of cost me a really good tournament. I lose this game, and there's no point in being about the bush, because this would have actually given me a brilliant rating performance, because I've done quite well today. I only lost to like top players, and as you saw, I got a draw against a 218 and a win against a 200, so it was looking pretty good. And this is a kid who handily before the game says, "Oh, are you a streamer?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a streamer." And he goes, "Oh, I think I beat you on one of your streams." I said, "Oh, that's not a surprise. I mean, lots of people beat me on my streams." But it was a bit of a start to the game. I was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, you know, that's a bit of gamesmanship, you little brat." No, he was a nice kid. I don't mind. He actually apologised because he knows what the result should have been in this game. Should have been, but that's chess, and you just got to take the rough for the smooth. And I've got a little bit of an anecdote at the end of the game, so if you survive that long, it won't be long. Maybe 2-3 minutes, I reckon I'll spend on this one. Oh, I wasn't white because you're like D4. That doesn't sound like you. Yeah, it isn't me. Flipboard. Okay, so D4, and I'm going through a transition of what I'm playing against D4, so it explains a little bit why I lost the way I lost. And I know this is a really popular system at the moment. Jabava DVD from Simon Williams is pushing this. But I'm like, okay, well, I've never played against it before, so let's just play normal moves and see how we go. I'm quite happy with this setup. Okay, fine. So F3, very straightforward plan. Just hack me to death. Why not? I don't have a lot of space. If he starts kicking my knight around, you know, perhaps I'm just going to lose a piece in the game. So give myself some space. He pushes the pawn, offers the bishop. This is like a Caro-Kann kind of maneuver, so like quite happy here. And like, what's the worst going to happen? I've got all my pawns on light squares. I've got a nice dark square bishop. Okay, yes, he's hacking me, but no, I'm not lost yet. But I was burning time here because I was trying to find a position where I felt comfortable. And you feel uncomfortable when people throw pawns at you. This is why you should do it against better players. He's 1700 FIDE and a 153 ECF. He's not a mug. I mean, like, you know, and juniors, you just don't know really what their grades are. I mean, he's in the open for a reason. But, you know, I fancied my chance. Of course I did. I've been, if anything, the way I've been maintaining my rating is I've been beating people around 150, 160 and just losing to all the 200s. But this was a bit of a turnaround, which is a shame because as you'll see. So I offer bishops. I know I just said how good my bishop was, but his bishop's actually really annoying. In conjunction with this threat, it's quite strong against h6, so played a good move. And here, I maybe should have just done anything other than what I did. I didn't need to help him. I think I was over scared of this. Over scared of this simple plan. Maybe now was the time to play knight here to maybe come back round. I didn't need to improve his knight because I actually thought his knight was misplaced on f4, but it isn't. It's actually quite useful there. Horribly, he's going to have a lot of pressure here because if I want to win, I need to break out. Or just sit there and get crushed because he's got all the pawn moves. I almost went really chicken here. I almost brought my knight back like totally cagey, but I'm just pretty sure that, okay, you can't do it yet, but say he just castles. Okay, well, I'll have to move my pieces around, right? So let's play queen here so there's no quick e4. But now, you know, my king's not safe and he is cracking open that side of the board. If I ignore it, this is the fear I had. If I ignore it, I think he can just play g6. And my position's in big trouble because the knight, where I was thinking it wasn't placed in a good place, is suddenly placed really well. I'm just in trouble here, really big trouble. So I couldn't go cagey, but just shows you how decent this position is. From literally doing nothing, White's got something decent, because I didn't understand the position that well. I obviously understood I was in a lot of trouble when I got there, but yeah, there must be a better plan, which I'll have to have a look at later. So I knew I was in trouble, so I thought, well, if I'm going to go down, it'll be going down in a position where there's tricks and traps and stuff like that. So Queen C7 is literally aimed at playing an early E5 as quickly as possible, because the knight's on. The knight then would be tempoed, you know. I mean, if he takes with a pawn, perhaps I'm not too scared, though. Funny enough, E4 is still in a position, so it's still really hairy. And the other trick, as I mentioned in that other line, is after castling, which we'll get to, castles. E5 takes. He doesn't have the instant E4, which would destroy me, because I have simply queen takes check. So he's defending the knight, ready for E4. I have to get the knight out of the way. Again, I'd love to bring my knight to D7, but this is just, I got no squares. I'm just in big trouble. I was just looking, yeah, because I can't take. It's like, no, I can't, because his rook's hanging, and it's, you know, if I was castled, I wouldn't have to worry. Or if the knight had a square, I wouldn't have to worry as much. So I put the knight on this side of the board, and to be honest, it's not that bad, because potentially it's hopping in. You never know, maybe something. And also defensively to defend D5 as well. So no light square bishop to hack it off. So it's okay where it is. And it starts tickling my queen, so the queen moves, no problem. I'm still down here. I think it's still a point down. And in worse, I've spent a lot of time. And I think this is possibly premature, but maybe not. It's because I was always going to have to get my knight out of the way at some point. And he brings his knight back in, which is cool. He's, I think he's thinking that there's pins now after E4, sorry. I can't really take because the queen's on pre. So he brought the knight back, fair enough. But I got my knight into a good square now. I'm getting somewhere. It's superficially attacking this one. I'm not even sure I'd take it. He does defend it. But this is what I'm after. Which he finds a move which sort of stops both threats. So if I now play in, he just wins a piece because you can take the knight. Because there's a pin. And he also defends the f-pawn. But I'm starting to get optimistic because I'm not lost. I'm not lost, and I finally have castled. And okay, it's a threat, and it's probably still a good move, but I can now maybe push the pawn. I'll ask him a few questions. Where is he going? You know, the knight hasn't got that many squares. And if I can follow up later on with pushing, perhaps I've suddenly got the attack. So that's why I'm suddenly feeling optimistic. And I do, now the queen's defended, well, not so much now, but I'm still renewing these kind of threats. If the queen comes into, say, B4, then it's quite hard to stop this. You know, the knight's a little bit loose if he plays the pawn forward. So he stops all that, which is fair enough. A3, good move. Allow me to bring my rook into the game. So, you know, suddenly black's doing all right, right? You know, the knight coming in still a threat, because now I'm also attacking the D pawn, E pawn, with the pin. So he takes, I take, and he brings his knight in, utilising the fact that I can't take it because the rook could take the queen. Now, originally I was going to play here like casually, but now he's got stuff like this, and now the rook doesn't have so many squares. It's getting awkward, really awkward. You know, I mean, probably there's two passive, so I'll probably have to leave it on E7. But I don't know. It's just knight seems to be coming into the game. I don't know if he's going to play this yet, but he's still in a position. But his knights have improved. Let's put it that way. This knight is actually a real big pain in the butt, and this knight also, because it's covering all the light squares. All the light squares are covered by those two knights, which is a bit frustrating. But I didn't have to allow that, so I didn't play Queen C7. I just played the queen out of the pin, and also defending F6. And knight away because it's attacked. Though, to be honest, maybe he should have come back. I don't know. because well, the follow-ups aren't spectacular here from him. So, of course, this move suggests itself. I mean, I'm just going to attack here. I'm not going to do it, but who knows? Maybe there's a take here at some point. If this pawn's out of the way, there's a mating attack. Just a really good place to have a knight. You can't kick it because I just take this one. So starting to look really good for me. And he blunders. Just totally missing this move, which threatens mate and the knight. And though he can stop the mate, which he does, there's another knight for me to take. So here I'm crushing him, but I've only got about 3 minutes on my clock, and he's got, I don't know, 12, 15 minutes. And just shows you how important time is in rapid plays as well. So he attacks my queen comes back. I spent a few, 2 minutes maybe working out where the queen should go. Big mistake, just put it somewhere safe and move it. Attacks a pawn, I'm like, well, okay, I'll defend the pawn. I want to keep my rook on this file. Don't really want to make my queen passive. Defends the pawn, keeps the pin on this pawn here. Gotta be good. Problem is the time's going. He's trying to set up some pins himself. I'm like, well, let's get out of that. Let's renew our threat of checkmate here and make him do something with the knight, rook. And in any other position where I've got time, I win because I just play knight here. And that's game over. But I didn't. Or did I? I may have done actually. I should have done it earlier. I had a chance to do it earlier. Did I do it here? No, I took first, which is just not good. Thinking everything's going to come off regardless. And it's a good plan, but you have to follow it through properly. I take, he takes, I take, he takes. I lose on time. Because here I had about 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And the original plan, of course, is just to take with a knight. Because a fork, but check. And if I don't give up the rook and move the king up, it's checkmate. Just like that. And that, unfortunately, because that was in the position, made me terrified. And I lost on time because I was frozen. And it happens. There's nothing you can do about that other than move faster. Like I say, there was a couple of moves there that are fairly obvious. Just put it somewhere that doesn't lose and get on with it. But it's too tricky. There's loads of ways to win this position, which is just, atypical. You can just give the knight and just be a pawn up for one. Which is the move I was going to play, which is this one. And in check. And of course not king up, but just block with the rook. And swaps, and you win this pawn. He wins that pawn. And it goes on. There's a checkmate there though. He's got to be a little bit careful. But yeah, it would have gone on. I would still only been 5 seconds per move, so who knows? Maybe not a definite win, but I don't even have to lose the piece. And those that can see this straight away, all fair play to you. But you can just take with the rook. And the point is, if he takes with the rook himself, there's no point in this check down the bottom anymore because you want to win a piece back. But I think this rook check is pretty much terminal because you can't block with the queen. Check, king goes here, and you win the queen, and that would be GG. And I maybe would have won the grading prize. I'm not sure how that would have worked out, but the biggest thing there was I would have been plus 29 rating points. Instead, I was plus 9 rating points, and also would have been a 185, 190 performance, and instead it was a 170 performance. So a few seconds makes a big difference. So thanks for those who managed to get through all that. I highly recommend these tournaments. They're so much fun. And the people that turn up to play, they're good people. They're good to talk to afterwards. So I hope you guys turn up at some point and say hello to me, and I'll say hi back, obviously. But yeah, go to type Golders Green Chess if you want to go directly to the site, the Golders Green site. Otherwise, chessengland.com, and that's where all of the London-based tournaments are pretty much advertised. Adam doesn't just advertise his own stuff; he advertises other things too. So check it out. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I certainly did, even if it was the hard way. So see you in the next video.